and welcome to another Style Story. So, today I have the real pleasure of speaking with Zoe Groves. So, to start with, Zoe, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me on. It's a real pleasure to be here. My name is Zoe. I'm a trans woman. I'm 41. Um, I came out as a trans woman in my late 30s, and um, I'm I would never ever go back. It's been the best decision I ever made. Part of that is because I feel like I'm not having to pretend to be something I'm not anymore. Um, I spent most of my life, the way that I put it is badly pretending to be a boy.
Mm.
um, I was very much a square peg in a round hole
Mhm.
growing up. Um, I felt like I was kind of being forced into a mold that didn't quite fit me. Um, and The way that I sometimes explain how it feels growing up as a closeted trans person is you're kind of having to second guess everything that you do. Um, so your mannerisms, the way that you talk, obviously the way that you dress and you present yourself, but even the way that you move. If I was sitting down, for example, I would be thinking in my head, oh, how should I cross my legs in this
Mm.
situation? Should I cross my legs at all? Is it too feminine for me to do that? Um, how should I talk to people? And just moderating, self-moderating, and masking my true behavior the whole time, and it is
Mm.
exhausting to do that. Um, and I got so used to doing it that I became quite good, I suppose, at badly pretending to be a boy. I built a career for myself. I got married, and eventually all of that, my old life, all fell apart. And I found myself at real kind of nadir rock bottom of my life. And it kind of came to a head where it was a case of, well, A, I really do have nothing else to lose now. And B, if I don't do something about this, I won't live to see my 40s. It really was a case of I either change something and try and live more harmoniously with who I feel that I really am, um, or I just end it. And that will be the end of my story. And fortunately, I chose to live. Um, I chose to take my own happiness into my own hands and be responsible for that. I'm really, really glad that I did. It has its own challenges, uh, but I'm just very, very happy with the way that things are going with me for now.
Mm. And we're very glad to have you with us as well. Let's get into that now, Zoe. When it comes to how you dress, how would you describe your style? And if you can come on to how that's changed over time.
Okay, so I guess I'd describe myself as a bit of a nerdy goth in a way. I like um, quite sort of dark colors. I'm a big fan of purple. I wear a lot of blacks and grays, but I like to accentuate that with
Mhm.
some other color. And I like to play around with different textures and materials. I never wear denim.
Right?
Um, I spent most of my life wearing denim, and I hated it. I will never go back to denim.
Mm.
Sorry for all those jeans lovers out there, but I am not one of you. And the thing is, I think jeans are quite an easy, comfortable thing for a lot of people to wear because kind of everyone kind of feels they look at least a little bit presentable in them.
Mhm.
But I've never found them comfortable. I don't think I look good in them. And I don't know, I always associate denim with that kind of old life that I used to have. Um, and I I kind of I've always kind of had an idea in my head of the kind of clothes that I like to wear, um, and the kind of style that I like to have.
Mhm.
And it's only really in the last few years that I feel like I've been able to really lean into that, and I think it works for me.
Yeah.
It's what I feel comfortable wearing.
Mhm.
Um, um, I One of the things that I experienced, and this is quite a common thing for trans women in particular, is that we go through a period of sort of similar kind of looks before really finding our own individual style. Um, so there's a thing in the trans community called the dysphoria hoodie. Okay, so um, a dysphoria hoodie is usually a big baggy hoodie that you wear that's comfy that covers your body
Mhm.
most importantly, and uh, quite often when people who are trans who are in the closet or maybe only just in the process of coming out, they'll rely on their dysphoria hoodie quite a lot. So when you're feeling dysphoric, you will quite often want to put on a big, bulky
Mhm.
hoodie that kind of covers you, that feels comfy, that you can kind of just sort of blend into the background and not have people notice you quite so
Mhm.
much. So I had one of those. I had a dysphoria hoodie. I do still wear it on very occasionally if I'm having a real kind of low effort day. But that's one thing that the trans people quite often end up wearing. And The other thing that you quite often find is uh, there's a tendency, certainly among trans women, to kind of overcorrect a little bit at the beginning of their journey. So you'll quite often find trans women wearing sort of kind of skater skirts and and the kind of the thigh high socks and the kind of the Amazon Basics sort of pleated skater skirt kind of look, because it's a fairly easy thing to wear that hides the shape of your body. It emphasizes your hips a little bit, um, and it can be quite a an affirming thing. And part of um, growing and sort of maturing and coming into your own style as a trans person is um, working out, okay, does that actually suit me? Is that what somebody is that the kind of thing that people usually wear in their day-to-day basis? You know, does that actually work for me, or is it drawing unwanted attention? That sort of thing.
Mhm.
Not that I'm suggesting that people should dress to please other people, because that's what trans people do for most of their lives. But there is an element of evolving, working out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and just trying different things and experimenting and seeing what does work and what doesn't. So me, for example, I quite like layering tops.
Mhm.
I'll quite often wear um, like a spaghetti strap
Mhm.
top or something underneath a longer top or like a
Mhm.
t-shirt or something along those lines. I quite like a sort of a wide kind of boat neck style. I really love things that expose my shoulders. I like an off the shoulder
Mhm.
top just because it feels feminine to
Mhm.
me. I wear leggings quite a lot because quite frankly, I like the way my legs look, and
Fantastic.
it makes me feel good.
Absolutely. And I already noticed you've got a little bit of layering going on there, and the boat neck kind of
Yeah,
bit off
yeah.
the shoulder allows for those layers. So you've touched upon it a little bit already, Zoe, but are there other things that you would say to people in the trans community, not just trans women, perhaps particularly
Hmm.
to those who haven't yet come out in their true identity and are still badly pretending, using your terminology, to be the gender assigned at birth?
Mm. Um, okay. I would say that uh, the most important thing is to be you, to not be afraid to experiment. You will, and I'm talking to you, prospective, potentially closeted trans person who may or may not be listening to this podcast. Um, uh, don't be afraid to try things. You will undoubtedly end up trying things that don't work, but when you do find something that does work, you'll know it because you'll feel it in yourself. That you'll look at yourself in the mirror and you'll like the person looking back at you. You'll like the way that that person looks. And when you've spent so much of your life hating that person in the mirror, hating the way that that person looks, it can be quite an emotional experience. Um, I remember before I grew my hair out, I wore wigs in order to feel comfortable. And I remember the first time I did a full face of makeup, and I did it badly. I remember I put a full face of makeup on, I put my wig on, and I dressed in my sort of my first proper sort of gender affirming outfit, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I just started crying
Mm.
because I was like, I actually like
Mm.
the way that I look now. Now looking back on it, now I clearly had some improvements to do. um, but at the time, it made me feel really good, and I knew that that was the right thing for me. Um, and I know it's really scary as well. It's the first time you go out in the big wide world wearing clothes that feel right for you. It can be really, really scary. Um, and when I did it, I met up with a friend of mine who I knew I could rely on, who would have my back if anything went wrong. And we just went to a pub, um, had some food, we chatted, and then I went home. And that was that was my first time, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Um, Nobody really stared at me. Nobody gave me weird looks. Nobody was unpleasant to me or unkind to me. And I think the only reason that I was able to have that confidence to do that is because I had my friend with me. So
Mm.
having a good support network is so important for this. Um, One of the things that I had to teach myself was how to do my own makeup. Because when you're raised as a boy, nobody teaches you how to do makeup, of course. Nobody really teaches you how to look after your hair. Um, Nobody teaches you kind of basic grooming,
Mm.
really. And nobody gives you fashion advice. You're just left to it. Um, Now, girls, when they're growing up, will often have their mum teach them how to do makeup, and if not their mum, they will talk to their friends and they'll try things out with their friends. They'll go shopping together. They'll do each other's hair and experiment that way. So by the time you come of age, they've kind of already gotten what works.
Mhm.
Um, so the other piece of advice that I would say, and this is I'm specifically talking to you, prospective closeted trans women who may be listening to this podcast, um, don't be afraid to experiment with makeup, but don't be surprised if the first time you do it, you kind of look like a toddler who's gotten access to mum's makeup kit. Because it will look a little bit like that, and you put it on and you'll go, oh my god, this looks crazy, insane. Um, but the cool thing about makeup is that you can just take it all off and try again.
There are things that cis people out there, like myself and others, could learn from trans women, those in the wider trans community.
The first thing is that uh, part of being trans is to naturally kind of go against the grain a little bit. Um, and we have to experiment. We have to try new things. Sometimes we try things and it doesn't work. Sometimes it works brilliantly. Um, and sometimes when you're brave enough to try something that you might not necessarily think about trying otherwise, you find that something really, really works for you. Um, so I think one of the things that I would definitely say is um, don't be afraid to try new things. Expand your horizons a little bit. Try things that you might not necessarily think of. Um, oh, and present yourself the way that you want to present yourself. Um, and I think quite often uh, trans people and cis people, we're kind of both victims of these sort of patriarchal beauty standards where we're kind of forced into this way of thinking where we feel like, oh, I couldn't wear that because only skinny people can wear that. Only people with, an hourglass figure can wear that. And the thing is, there's um, that you don't know if something's going to work if you don't try it. If you're never brave enough to actually give it a try, and like maybe you try it and it doesn't work, but at least then you know, and at least then you can say that you've tried. Um, the other thing that kind of ties into that as well is uh, and I feel like trans and cis women fall into this more than cis men and trans men. But we quite often compare ourselves to other people quite a lot. If you're on Instagram, you quite often see people who are these kind of really airbrushed and they're kind of they're living these lavish lifestyles and they look fabulous and everything. And you look at these people and you think, oh, I'm never going to look like. There's always going to be somebody out there um, with a slimmer waist or with a rounder butt or whatever. And I think if you get yourself stuck in this feeling of I can't do that because it's not for me, it's not made for me, then I think you potentially miss out on a lot of things that you think might actually really really work if you try them. And I think when you try something and you look at yourself in the mirror and you feel good about who you are, um, um, I and I think when that works because it gives you that feeling of, oh yeah, I feel really confident in this. Wear what makes you feel good. If you have a dress that you really really love that you want to wear that makes you feel good, wear the dress. Like feel awesome. That's what. Why are we living otherwise?
Thank you, Zoe. So, another question that I ask people I'm interviewing is, do you have a message for the fashion industry? And if so, what would that be?
I do a lot of my shopping online. I think a lot of us do a lot of shopping online. And I think the thing that the fashion industry could really stand to do more of is to use people with different body shapes and body sizes to model their clothing. Um, uh, if you're seeing the same types of people, and like, I get it, right? You want to have marketing material for your products that is gonna be attractive and look good, and you want the people wearing them to look good in them. Um, but you don't have to always go with the same type and the same size of person. Maybe try modeling how clothes look at different sizes on different types of people, um, and kind of different shaped people as well. Like for myself as a trans woman, I obviously have quite broad shoulders, and it would be nice to see how a top looks on somebody with a more similar body shape to me, so that I can more easily judge whether it's going to work on me or not. It would be nice to see more plus size models showing their clothing off, um, showing how it looks when you're not kind of this idealized um, sort of uh, patriarchal standard sort of um, living clothes rail. Um, and remember that human beings are all different shapes and sizes. We all need clothes, um, and it would be nice to see um, more shapes and sizes of people being represented.
There's anything else that you'd like to share with listeners, viewers, my readers, before we finish?
Sure, yeah. So, uh, one of my passions is human rights. I'm especially in the last year, there's been a lot of things that have happened that have kind of pushed things backwards. One of the reasons why I felt comfortable coming out, even when I was in my late 30s, was that I felt like our society had progressed to the point where it was more
Mm,
acceptable for trans people to come out. And back when I was growing up, I grew up in the 90s, and whenever you saw trans people in media in the 90s, we were always kind of the butt of a joke. Um, and it kind of gave this impression that if you were trans, then you were open about being trans, then you were just destined to become this pariah. And that there was something inherently dishonest about being open about who you really were, because you kind of was it was seen as that you were lying to people in some way about the truth of who you were, whereas actually the opposite is true. If you're out as a trans person, you're being more truthful about who you really are. um,
mm,
and I think that certainly over the last year, there's been a lot of pushback on that progressiveness. Um, like I've been really lucky personally. I feel like if I walk down the street, people just see any other woman, um,
mm.
and that's me being extremely lucky. It's usually only if I open my mouth that people tend to realise that I'm trans because of my voice. Um, I've been really accepted and embraced by the people around me. But there has been pushback on that. Um, and it's a pushback that is being um, put forward by rich people, basically, with very kind of bigoted views towards trans people, trans women in particular, but trans men as well. And it's a different form of bigotry between trans women and trans men. Trans women are usually seen as by these people and are openly spoken about by these people as being dangerous, perverted, kind of sexual predators that are somehow getting off um, on dressing and presenting ourselves the way that we do in public life. And I mean, I shouldn't even have to say that that's not the case, but it's not the
Mm,
case.
mm,
um, and trans men are infantilized. They're seen as just, oh, look at these poor women who've just lost sight of their true. They just need to be, picked up and modeled and put back on the right path and everything. And it's insulting. It's degrading. And so we've kind of both got it, just in slightly different ways. And it seems like ever since this Supreme Court ruling happened in 2025, that things have been backsliding a little bit. And what I would say is that trans people aren't your enemy. We're not invading anyone's personal spaces. Um, we just want to be treated the same as everyone else. We just want to be left alone. We just want to live our lives in peace. Um, and the it just seems like there's this relentless pushback, um, and I think a lot of it is we're being used as a scapegoat for other issues. And the
Mhm.
reality is that we're not your enemies. We all live on the same planet. We all live in the same societies. We just want to be treated the same as everyone else. Um, um, the other thing I really want to say is you have to be, and I'm talking more generally here from my own experiences. You have to be um, take responsibility for your own happiness. Nobody
Mhm.
is going to change your life in the ways that you need to change it in order to be happy. You have to do that. Um, that's what I had to do in order to be happy with who I am. And it's the same for anyone else. Nobody else has that responsibility. Nobody else can take that responsibility from you. It has to be you that does it. Um, and don't be afraid of doing that, basically.
Zoe, and I wouldn't be here interviewing you if I hadn't done something similar in terms of taking my career and my career happiness in my own hands. So, thank you for reminding everybody out there of those things. Just one final thing, then, if you're happy for anybody, where can we find more about you?
Oh, I don't have a real big social media following or anything like that. I'm just a regular trans woman. But I am on LinkedIn. So if you could search for me on LinkedIn, you'll occasionally um, see me posting about human rights and what it's like being a trans person. Um, I do run a business, so I am a corporate video producer. I make videos for businesses. My company name is Take One TV. Um, so if you want to see a little bit of the work that I do, then you can search for Take One TV online. Check out our website, have a look at our show reel. So that's Take One TV is the company name, and you can search for me on LinkedIn, Zoe Groves. That's Groves.
Thanks ever so much for that, Zoe, and thank you very much for the conversation and for sharing so much that's personal, but also things that we can all learn from. Thank you very much for your time. So, goodbye and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much for having me.